Hi, and welcome to the AYTM.com Polarity Scale question type tutorial video. The Polarity Scale question type, also known as a semantic differential, is essentially a smooth scale with 200 steps, prompting respondents to move the slider to the left or right of center in order to indicate how close their perception is to one of the two opposing alternatives located at each end of the scale. For example, you can ask to rate a brand on a group of scales, each offering a continuous range in between, such as boring versus engaging, old-fashioned versus modern, unfriendly versus friendly, and so on. This question type is often used to measure subjective and nuanced perceptions of a brand, logo or corporate identity, product or service, character, experience, or a situation. It comes with a large library of pairs we've created for you. Feel free to choose them from the menu or enter your own unique scales. At the bottom of the question, you'll find a series of checkboxes allowing you to fine-tune the experience for respondents. Snap to center creates a gravitational zone 10 steps in either direction from the center that will snap the slider back to the middle if a respondent is indecisive and leaves the slider too close to the center, or neutral answer. Snap to poles creates a similar gravitational zone around the extreme ends of the scales on the far left and far right. Once the slider is released within 10 steps of either end, the platform will automatically snap it all the way to the end of the scale. Enable these options if you'd like to encourage respondents to be more decisive in their answers and collect more categorical data. When you use Snap to Center with the Accept Neutral option off, you can prevent users from remaining undecided and force them to pledge their allegiance toward one end of the scale or another. Please use this combination of options only if you are convinced that there can be no middle ground in your question. The last checkbox allows you to show values above the sliders. It's useful in some cases since it gives respondents a sense of precision in an otherwise relative and subjective experience. In some cases, numbers may be confusing, so we leave the option off by default and let you decide what makes more sense for your needs when you test the survey. You can bundle as many as 7 scales in one question, expandable to 10 with the Pro Survey Authoring package. The main question and each scale can have a unique image associated with them. Please use a collage of 2 images in one file and stretch it to the full width of the survey widget if you want to illustrate each side of a scale and make the illustrations appear close to the corresponding ends of the range. The order in which items appear for each respondent can be randomized if global randomization is on in the survey. Each specific item can be anchored to its position to make an exception from the global randomization rule. The Polarity Scale question type can also have a single skip logic destination. Please use the rabbit icon to set it up. Let's now look at the stats page so I can show you a few great ways to analyze the insights that you can capture using Polarity Scale questions. In my example, I asked respondents to reflect on their most recent vacation experience and rated on 7 polarity scales. By default, you will see results presented in popularity mode. It'll show you how popular each side of the scale was, or how many people ended up leaving their slider on one side or another. If neutral answers were allowed, you may see some gray gaps in the center of the chart, indicating the percentage of undecided respondents. The table below will show you exact numbers and percentages of respondents in each group. The slider on top of the question allows you to change the rules of what you count as a neutral or undecided answer. It'll work regardless of whether you allowed neutral answers or not in the survey. For example, if you move the slider to the plus or minus 25 position, you'll ask our platform to treat any answers within a range of negative 25 to positive 25 as neutral. While this decision will not change the raw data, it will be reflected in exports as well as crosstab and sig test reports, where we analyze results by groups. You can adjust the slider at any time. Now we'll take a look at intensity. Let's toggle this control to the right to learn more about our target audience. True to its name, intensity mode incorporates the intensity of answers, or the degree to which respondents moved away from the center toward one side of the scale or another. The default view here is called pairs, and shows intensities of answers on both sides of each scale. In my example, 12% of people, 92 out of 750, said that their vacations were boring and left their cursor somewhere to the left of center. A whopping majority, 83%, or 620 respondents, said that their vacations were engaging and positioned their sliders to the right of center. The popularity chart shows us a huge prevalence of people who thought that their vacations were engaging. By contrast, the intensity mode has amplified the voice of the more opinionated respondents and reduced the effect of the less dramatic answers, resulting in a more balanced distribution of the averages. You can further adjust the chart by choosing the mean or median option in the table below. In this view, we take all responses that were on the left of the scale and show their mean, and do the same for the right side of the scale. Now you know the quantity and intensity of answers in each camp. The only remaining question is, which side won the intensity of answers? It may be a bit difficult to measure just by eyeballing the bars on the chart, so we've added a third mode called deltas. It calculates the average of all answers and shows the resulting value on the chart. You can switch between mean and median in the table the same way you did for the pairs view. You can filter your survey by the Polarity Scale question type with ease. Just restrict the range for each pair to the values you want to allow in your filter and click Apply. For example, by limiting the slider to the range of 50 through 100 on the first scale, I'll be able to isolate only those respondents who thought that their vacations were very engaging. An important thing to note here is that while you're in the survey widget, the scale goes from 100 on one side to 100 on the other side, with 200 steps total. In the filters on the stats page, the scale is expressed from -100 to +100. It helps to process data and avoid ambiguities. Please also note that the stops on the sliders and filters will only show the values that were selected by at least one respondent who took the survey. That's it for now. Thanks again for watching, and feel free to ping us with questions or to set up a personal demo.